I literally quit my six-figure job the week of my wedding, right before my rehearsal dinner, took a six-figure pay cut.
So you worked at Surgical Corporation, which was acquired, I guess, by Tyco
That's correct.
back then. So you stuck to some degree for all not quite a decade within the healthcare angle. Did you see that bridging your education? You still had the passion for the healthcare, and that's why you stayed within that track.
Yeah, I still had the passion for healthcare for sure, but, I I remember sitting down at lunch one day and I was reading this article in the Wall Street Journal, right? And it said that 80% of CEOs have sales and marketing in their background. Now that's changed a lot, but that's back in the, late '80s, early '90s, right? So, I said, "Well, I wanna be a CEO, so I guess I gotta go learn how to sell." And it's a funny story. There was this company called US Surgical, and they were written up in US News, World Report, Fortune Magazine, Wall Street Journal as the Green Berets of selling. We were legendary at selling, and we really pioneered minimally invasive surgery. I can tell you, I personally removed a lot of gallbladders from dogs. I did bowel resection on pigs. I did hysterectomies on goats, and a number of other things because you have to learn the procedures to train surgeons how to use your instruments to do it. But at any rate, what was interesting is, as I said, so I literally quit my six-figure job the week of my wedding, right before my rehearsal dinner, took a six-figure pay cut. Still married to the same girl, by the way. And so it worked out okay. She has a lot of faith in me. But at any rate, what I was going to say is because I said, I've got to learn how to sell because at the end of the day, yeah, I look at the P&L and say, what's at the top of the P&L? Revenue,
Mm.
right? I gotta learn how to drive revenue. And so that's what got me into it, but then I had a safety net because I understood healthcare, and that actually ultimately became a huge advantage because another wave of, you transition, and sometimes, you can have the best I'm a big believer in manage what you can control, but also keep your eyes open to that which you cannot. And, um, and so what happened was we were flying high. I mean, our stock went from 5 a share to 80, split 2 for 1, went to 90, split 3 for 1, went up to 134. And we because we pioneered minimally invasive surgery, we really did. And so the market loved us. And then all of a sudden, when the political change, the Clinton came in and they were really pushing healthcare reform. That took a lot of power out of the clinician's hand, the surgeon's hands, and put it into insurance companies and the financial side of healthcare. And that wasn't our customer. Our customer was showing a surgeon a product and getting him or her to say, I want this, I want to use that on every case. And it was antithetical to, truth be told, who our real customer was, the hospital who was writing the checks. Because I came from the hospital environment and understood the finance side, it gave me an opportunity to change how we sold and went to market. And so
So you transitioned to Medline, um, and still in and around the same type of industry, right?
yeah.
So was it more the shift in the marketplace that you said, "Hey, now it's probably time to move to another place"? What was that transition process
To move to
from US Surgical to Medline?
To Medline, yeah, well, we sold to Tyco, and what happened was, you see this a lot, especially in highly innovative companies. I mean, we were R&D driven organization, and I knew when Tyco acquired us, they were gonna put us together with, Kimberly Clark Kendall and all the other companies, and we were just gonna be a portfolio company, a commodity versus a innovation driven organization. And so I said, that really took the fun out of it for me.
That that's actually a really good point. Last October, I had this like not aha moment, but this realization that Hive is getting large enough that it's starting to protect itself. Meaning, if it's not going to make sure the business is going to do better, the R&D and some of the innovation started to they are
Sure.
deprioritized.
Sure.
And, I'm a big believer in Clayton Christensen. If you guys get a chance, you should read his books. He's passed away. He's a Harvard professor on innovation. And I really went through, study, try to figure out like what is it creates that dynamic of an innovative, introspective versus extrospective. Because like
Right.
with Kodak, I mean, there's just so many jokes at this point, but it wasn't just one time they showed the digital camera.
Right.
It
Right.
was over and over and over a very long time frame that the digital camera was put in front of the senior executives, but they protected their revenue and their cash cow, which was film. It was the
Right.
Gillette razor model, right? The more film that we can sell, the more money we make. The camera isn't really what we care about.
Mhm.
And we just look back and say, well, you had it right in your hand. You had the R&D, the Bell Labs of the world, the
That's right.
innovation centers of even IBM back in the day. It's a different company today, but how do you, and you've now led multiple companies, and part of your initiative taking over these companies is, hey, clean it up, package it, scale it, and potentially sell it.
Mhm.
Where does innovation sit when the priority is, hey, these are the primary cash cow objectives that we need to protect? How do you see that innovation R&D culture not being destroyed as a company, has to focus on its priorities?
No, it's a challenge, and especially when you're in private equity backed companies, right? Because it's there's two metrics, revenue and EBITDA, right? And that's it. But at the end of the day, I've always stood firm on the fact that, yeah, we're going to have our core business that we are going to drive. But at the end of the day, if we're not innovating and finding new opportunities for revenue growth, new lines of business, a number of other things, then at some point, our growth trajectory will either slow down dramatically or stop because someone else will dedicate resources to that. So I'm a big believer in you have your core budget, but you always leave a small percentage to for innovation. And you know that it's, truth be told, that it's might work, it might not, but if you stay true to that commitment, uh, it more often than not, it will work out. And, I look at the businesses that I've had the pleasure and been privileged to lead, and we've always done that, and we've always shown double-digit organic growth every single year that I've led them, and sometimes very high double-digit organic growth because the core business, I expected it to deliver this, and then the innovation, put me over the top. And so then when you're sitting there, when you go to transact a couple years from now, and you talk to people about, well, so for example, real quick, when we were the fire and life safety business that we came in, it's backed by a group called A Industrial Partners. They acquired a company in New York called Crossfire and Security, and then another one in Boston. And I'll never forget, the one in New York. I mean, they did some of the most iconic projects: Waldorf, St. Patrick's Cathedral. I mean, World Trade, all the stuff. And so, anyways, they were heavily based on installation. And then I said, well, look, we need to transform this organization to service revenue. And they're like, why would we do that? And I said, well, look out the window. Do you see any cranes out there? They're like, No. I said, that's right. There's no new construction going on. And you're living and dying by new construction or upgrades and retrofits. And interest rates are spiking and doing this and doing that. You spent 40 years in this market putting systems in some of the most iconic fire and life safety systems and some of the most iconic assets in the New York skyline. You don't service though. You took all the risk and you got none of the reward. And so it wasn't in a P&L, but I hired a couple service sellers, put them in the business, built a program around them, and when I took the helm, we were we did 15 different acquisitions as well. We were about 90% project based. That trades at a multiple of 4 to 6x EBITDA. When we transacted, we were 86% recurring and reoccurring revenue because we invested early in the platform and a couple some systems and some, personnel to do those things. and that company transacted in the middle upper teens. Okay. So the reality is that that's an example of transformation, investing a little bit, putting in some innovation into how we contacted customers, the services that we offered, and we got the great outcome.